In this lesson, we're going to work with the fixed motion effect, except this time we're going to do more than simply change the scale of a clip or position it in the frame. We're going to animate scale and position. So let's go over to Working Files, go down to Projects, and open up 1301 Animating Motion. I've got a couple of sequences already set up for you here. We're going to start with this picture-in-a-picture thing. If you worked with the picture-in-a-picture lesson, then you've already seen this. We left off that lesson pretty much like this, where they just pop on screen. I want them to come on more gradually, and I'm going to use the motion effect to do that. We'll start with this one on top here, which I think is this clip here. I'll click on that and click on the eyeball and see if that is. Yep, that's the one we want. I want it to take about 2 seconds to appear on screen. We're going to scale it down to nothing and to bring it up to its current size there. So I want to go for the beginning here. It's about 109 and go to about 2 seconds in, which would be 309 or something like that, right around there. Let's just open up its effect controls here and open up motion, and I want to keyframe scale. Now, usually when you're working with something where you've changed the scale, changed the position, be it the motion effect or other effects that put things in motion, you usually want the first keyframe to be the place where you end up, kind of backwards thinking, but it's easier this way if you get things all settled down and put a keyframe there. So I want to set the scale right there, 3 seconds into the sequence, 2 seconds into the clip. So I'm going to just keyframe scale there, like that. Puts a keyframe there at that scale. Now I want to go back to the beginning of the clip, right about there. I can use the up arrow key to go there. Now the up arrow works here only because this track is on and this frame clip is the exact same length as the one on top. Since this is not selected, it wouldn't normally line up there when I press the up arrow. And if you have a bunch of clips that are on different tracks and you don't have them selected like this, you don't have the header showing up like that, then you can hold on the Shift key to navigate amongst all the clips. At any rate, here we are at the beginning of this clip, and I want to set the scale here to 0. So I just drag this to 0, and that automatically sets a keyframe for that image. We'll deal with the frame later. So let's watch that. Here it comes from nothing to there. That works exactly the way we want. Now before we do the same thing with the frame, I want to use keyframe interpolation here to have it go more smoothly, have it ease out and ease in. If you looked at the keyframe interpolation lesson back in Chapter 9, then you know how to do this. You just right-click on this first keyframe and choose Ease Out, because we're easing out of that keyframe. Then right-click on this one and choose Ease In, because we're easing in. And now the motion will be a little more natural. It starts slowly, and then works up, and then slows down at the end. That's a good thing. All right, now we want to apply those same keyframes down to this frame clip. So first of all, we need to get the current time indicator right at that spot where it's done. So I navigate to that keyframe using this little Go to Previous Keyframe button. Now we're right there. The current time indicator is right where we want it to be. Go down to Frame, open up its motion effect, and keyframe its scale. But here we've got 2 scale items because it's not uniform, so I keyframe that and keyframe that. Okay. Now we need to go to the beginning of the clip, which we can do with the up arrow key here twice, because we first go to the beginning of that clip down there. There we go, back at the beginning. Now we need to set these guys to 0. Zip. Zip. And now things should scale up, but they might not scale up smoothly equally because we don't have keyframe interpolation here yet. Let's just see what happens. See how they sort of shift around there? Now we need to put keyframe interpolation for these guys. So I want to select the first 2. You can apply keyframe interpolation to more than 1 keyframe at a time. So I'm going to marquee select them by just dragging a marquee around them. Right-click on them and go Ease Out. Marquee select these guys by dragging a marquee and right-click on them and go Ease In. Now let's see if they work together. There you go, as predicted. Good. Let's move on down to this one here, this clip right there, which I believe is this one. Let's check it out. There you go. That's what we want to see. I want it to come on as this one comes on, but start a little bit later. So let's see here. We got that guy about there. So I want it to start here right around 210. So let's go to 410 for its finish. That's where it'll be done. You always go where its finishes first, right? So click on that one to make it active. There you go. Check it out again. Make sure it's the right one. There you go. I want it to be active. So I want to set the position for this one, not the scale. We're going to have it slide in from the left-hand side here. So I'd set the position keyframe like that. Now we got it all set and ready to go. Let's go back a couple of seconds. Thereabouts, right around there. Now I want to change its position. I could click on motion and change its position, which would set a new keyframe, but it might be, coming in at an angle. I want it to come in exactly left or right. So let me go Control or Command Z to undo that. The way I can make it come in exactly right is just by changing its X value. This is X along here on this axis. This is Y up and down here, just like the old Cartesian coordinate system you learned in high school geometry. Remember that? Anyway, X and Y. So we want to take the X value and drag it to the left. This is the X value. That's the Y value. So I'm going to drag this left like that by holding my scrubby, my little mouse over the top of it and just dragging. It goes kind of slowly. If I hold down the shift key, it'll go a little faster, bigger increments there. Get it off the side there. There you go. Got it. Let's see how that works. On we go. Very good. So right now I want to do keyframe interpolation for it, but remember this is position as opposed to scale. So position moves through space. So there'll be two kinds of keyframe interpolation here. I'll right click on the first one here, and it's going to be temporal or spatial. We're going to deal with spatial in an upcoming lesson in this chapter. So let's deal with temporal here. I'm going to go temporal, and then we're going to ease out. That's how we get to ease out when you've got two options like this. Right click on this one, same process, temporal to ease in. And now it has a little bit more of a comfortable move. Now we want to give the same move to this frame down below. So let's get the current time indicator in the right place there, right on top of that one. Put on the frame, and then turn on keyframes for position for it. That's just one little switch here. Now the keyframe is on. Now we need to go back and get the exact position for the other keyframe. So go back here and navigate over to this keyframe. We see that's minus 485.3. It would be nice if I could copy and paste the keyframe here and bring it on down to here, but it doesn't quite work that way here in Premiere. So I'm just going to look at that number, minus 485.3, and we've got the current time indicator in the right place here. So minus 485.3, go down to here, click on this and type in minus 485.3, minus 485.3. Okay, now let's see how that works. Uh-oh, same problem as before. That's because we haven't done keyframe interpolation here. So right click on that, temporal, ease out. Right click on that, temporal, ease in. This whole business about remembering a keyframe value can be a bit of a hassle. There's a workaround for that called nested sequences. Now we've dealt with nested sequences before back here in the picture-in-a-picture thing where we got this nested sequence here where we drag this 4 scenes sequence as a clip into here, right from the project panel to here. And so those guys now behave the way we just set them up. This one comes in, this one comes in. That's great how that nested sequence works, right? Well, you can make a nested sequence on the fly. So we go back to here. I want this frame and this image to come on together, and I don't want to have to deal with remembering keyframes. So we have these guys act as one unit. We can apply keyframes to that one and not worry about, taking one here and copying and pasting or remember what the number was or that kind of stuff. So I'm going to make a nested sequence out of these two clips. The way I do that is by selecting one and shift-clicking on the other. That allows you to select more than one clip. And now I'm going to right-click, and there's a little word here, nest. If I click on that, it converts them to a nested sequence, which is essentially now one clip with one audio track. And now that nested sequence has been placed elsewhere. It's been added to your project panel and exists as a separate sequence where those two clips down here all are tied together. But we don't need to worry about these guys. We just need to worry about this thing we just put in there, this one right over here. We're going to take this guy. It's going to act as one clip now, as if there were just one thing there, like one image. And I want it to come in from the bottom. So I've got it selected. I want it to come in as the other ones come in. So this one starts coming in right about there, this one here. I want this one to start coming in at that point then. So I'm going to bring it down off the screen. I click on it to make it active. I like the green color that it tells you that it's nested. Go to motion here. I want to set a keyframe for the beginning and the end. So we want to make sure this is done there. So about a second after that one's done, we want this one to be done. So about 5 something right there. That'll be the end. So set the ending keyframes for position there by clicking that. Now I'm going to go back 2 seconds to about 3 something, right about there. I'll have it start off screen off the bottom. So I click on the motion here. I could drag it down like this. Now look at how the bounding box is so big. That's because it treats it as one big, huge clip here. If I want to drag it down, I could do that, but I want to make it straight like everybody else, so I'll do Control-Command-Z to undo that. Instead, I'm going to drag it down. So X is here, that's left and right. Y is down here, so I'm going to drag it down, right? So you'd think you'd go left to go down, but it's backwards over here. So we go right to go down, off the screen there. There we go. And that sets a new keyframe there. So now I'm going to right-click here and go Temporal, Ease Out. Right-click on this one and go Temporal, Ease In. Now I've got all 3 of these guys working together. Let's see how they behave. Here we go. 1, 2, and 3. Cool. And now if we go to this nested sequence over here, we've got these guys nested. Let's see how they behave over here. 1, 2, and 3. Excellent. We could have them also animate out, kind of reversing the process, but we'll skip that for now.